Hello and welcome to the March edition of Cycling Weekly's Tech of the Month. And spring is in the air. Yeah. God bless.
You've got short sleeves on. Yeah, I've got that.
So, should we get on with some product? I'll go first. And I've got a set of DT Swiss wheels. Now, I've just cleaned them, as you can see on the rim.
As you can see by your black hands. Yeah.
I've done a really good job of cleaning them. The rims are obviously a bit black because it's... time I was testing them was
it's winter.
It was rubbish weather. Here you go. I've got dirty hands now.
So
these are the DT Swiss 1600 Spline.
You hold them for me.
23.
I don't want to touch them.
So DT Swiss 1600 Spline 23s. So that's 23 millimeter deep, and they are a upgrade, robust training / racing wheel. So a bit of an all-rounder wheel set. So now these weigh around 1,500 grams, like 1,561, I think they came out on
probably
our
one
scales.
of the 1,600. Yeah,
You would have thought.
Well be,
Yeah. I mean, they could have been a bit closer to that mark. But I've really enjoyed my time with these wheels, and I think it's just one of those things where you look at £2,000 carbon wheel sets, you're like, oh, they're amazing, ceramic bearings, they do this, they do that. So I was riding before this the MV 2.2s, the clincher version.
Of course.
So right up there.
Same depth.
Straight down there. So when we were pulling together the training sort of robust upgrade wheel group test for the magazine, Rupert rode a couple of wheel sets as well. It was a stark drop from £3,200 to £500, which these cost a pair at £474.98.
That's pretty good.
And of course, tubeless ready, and they come with all the gubbins that you need.
All of DT Swiss's range are tubeless ready now,
yes.
are they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All taped up already, aren't they? So
Yeah.
you literally just
Good
like
to
go
go.
pop, put the valve
Which
in.
is great.
off
That's
it.
exactly what you want from
It
a
is.
robust set of training wheels.
I didn't run these tubeless, although my MV 2.2s are running tubeless with a set of Shroud.
Well, we won't talk about those.
We won't talk about those. But what I wanted to, my point was that the NVs, the performance are very good. They're very lightweight. They feel a bit draggy compared to something like a Roval that comes on a Specialized, the 50 CLXs. But the performance drop, it was a question I kept fighting in my head. It was like, these cost just under £500 and they perform very, very well.
It's like a quarter of the price and not a quarter of the performance.
Yeah, so it got me questioning everything, really. It's kind of like, why would you spend that amount of money on those wheels? And I think, yes, you get ceramic bearings, you get great set hubs, performance end, they're nearly 400 grams lighter, etc. Braking on those wheels are very good. But, aluminium box section rims, which is this what these are, braking performance is constant in my mind with aluminium braking. Dry or wet, obviously performance, peaks and troughs a little bit when it's raining, but solid and reliable, don't have to worry there. And they, I couldn't really feel any flex. There was nothing in there that was saying I'm really losing out here. You are, in terms of weight and sort of probably outright stiffness. But it just got me questioning, why would you want to go anything?
You trying to say you've had an epiphany, mate?
I have had a bit of a lighting moment in my mind, but I enjoyed the time, and I did shod these with a set of turbo cottons, which tan sidewalls. They looked great as well.
Classic robust training tyres.
The lightest, fastest tyres I can put on these. Yeah.
It's the only ones I had, and they just zipped along really nicely. I couldn't really complain about them. 20-spoke front, 24-spoke rear. The 18mm internal, so they're not the widest out there, but they do support a 25 or 28C tyre quite well. We measured them up on our scale, and they came a millimetre bigger than the tyre predicted, but there was a nice shape to them. They didn't look odd, out of place. Interestingly enough, you compare these to Shimano's Ultegra version or Fulcrum Racing Freeze, which are around a similar price. They're a millimetre wider in terms of internal rim width. And then it's the hubs. They look great. I mean, look at these. They're
quite organic, aren't they? All rounded and
sort of
bits black
machined
and silver
and really nice. I mean, these look a bit more white than silver to me, and I mean, surprisingly, after a couple of weeks of riding, they have cleaned up quite well and quite easily. But you know what cleaning hubs are like. It's a bit of a faff. You try to get your sponge in it. Like, so initially, that was a bit of concern to me. As soon as you go for a couple of puddles, it's kind of, they're going to look quite mucky. But they've done well, actually, so far. As you can see, the rim is in a, dirtier state.
You're doing a lot of braking, mate.
I get scared out of the road.
I was scared. There's still some wear left on that, but
They're doing all right. They did score a 9 out of 10 in our test. I was quite happy with them. And I marked them down for one thing, basically. And you know where I'm going with this.
Exactly.
It's the quick release, or the lack of, in this sense. And it's a good system, and it's very similar to the bolt-through system on disc brakes. And basically, you just wind in one lever. Here, as you can see, it doesn't go anywhere. It's not a quick release in a sense. It's similar to a bolt-through, where you wind all the way in. So my issue I had, I was riding these a lot with the Specialized tarmac I'm riding, and the rear wheel I couldn't get exactly right where I wanted. I even ended up sort of like banging it down a little bit. Simple solution with the quick release wheel is like you undo the lever and you can sort of manipulate it to get into place. This I struggled a little bit with, and I mean, I know you can lift that side out and sort of do a bit of playing with it, but it does, you can get there, and it will work, and it's not a bad system, and I like the fact that it feels quite solid in place, but it's not as handy as a traditional quick release lever on there, and that's what I sort of gave them a little mark down for.
Great, so I'm going to jump in now with my new, very exciting product on the table here. Oh, these lovely pairs of shoes.
They look amazing.
Look at those.
So I did spot these, and we had a conversation about, are these new shoes from Specialized at Talk Down Under?
Yes.
And we were like, no, I just think they're a different colour.
shows how on the ball we are, because they look entirely different to the Sworks 7. So these are a very special shoe that Specialized launched a couple of weeks ago. At the end of Feb, actually, and these are the Sworks XS shoes. So it's a bit of a mouthful, a bit of a tongue twister.
EXOS,
not XS.
Or
don't
XSoft.
say XS.
Yeah.
Yep. XS. And these are really interesting shoes. So Specialized has targeted the very, very lightweight shoe market, whereas other brands opted for kind of like a knit to bring that weight down. Specialized decided to use the materials that they already used in the Sworks 7, but to create the whole upper out of it instead of only part of it. So I'll start with the weight.
So what's that material?
Dyneema.
Yeah.
Space parachutes.
Space parachutes?
Yeah, I should probably put that into context.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So Dyneema was a product that they used on their previous Sworks 7 shoes.
But not all over, it was just part of the clothes.
It was like,
and it actually said it on it as well.
Yeah.
This little bits here, because it's incredibly expensive, because it's very hard wearing, and it's very resistant to wear and very flexible and tough, basically. And NASA kind of came up with the idea of Dyneema to use it in the parachutes when the space shuttles come to Earth. Also Specialized say. I like that story. But yes, so the whole shoe is made out of this now, including the heel area and all the top bits here, and it makes it very lightweight.
What are we talking?
158 grams a shoe.
Wow.
Whoa.
Which
For
is
a size?
43.
Okay.
So these are 43s, and that is, quick maths here, 316 grams a pair.
Well, that's really quick maths.
wasn't
I
it?
like that. 316 grams.
Pre-prepared maths here.
So Specialized are claiming that these are the lightest production BOA dial.
Correct, yes. So Giro have the ProLite Tech laces, and they are dial-less. So they only use like the Velcro, kind of the Velcro lace mashup thing that goes across
like
the top.
Adidas did in the past.
Exactly. But Specialized has also released a very special limited edition run called EXOS 99s, which weigh 99 grams in a size 42.
That is super light.
Which is incredibly light. And they are dial-less. They don't have a bow.
They're lace-ups.
Lace-ups. So you can only really get that lightweight via laces. The dials just weigh a bit too much.
But I love these because it's a funny little trick. It's just like, the sole is super stiff, right? Yeah. Everyone does that classic.
It goes up to 13.
This is super stiff. And it's quite and you sort of overbuilt there to compensate for that. But then you just
Yeah, it's hilarious.
just fold in the top.
It is so squishy.
That's perfect for travelling, isn't it?
I've just destroyed his shoes.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, just fold them
don't worry
down.
about
You
it.
can put those in a back pocket.
Well, you could do.
What more
That's
could
the
you
thing,
want?
isn't
They
it?
get to the bottom of a big climb.
Yeah.
Whip those off.
Get 'em
Walk
on.
up because you'll be faster walking
Yeah.
than riding. So
And this makes it hilarious when you're riding, because this upper is obviously incredibly flexible and it moves a lot when you're pedaling along, but the sole doesn't move at all. And I think this is because the sole is put into, like, it's defined by this upper. It proves how stiff the sole is, and you can really feel it because the upper is moving a lot. That this sole feels incredibly stiff.
does your foot feel stable inside though?
Yeah, I was been riding in them, and it's actually once it's in there, the Dyneema material stays quite
It's got no
rigid
stretch, has
around
it?
it.
Yeah.
No, it's got no stretch. The only bit that moves, you can waggle the top bit, which you can see is really squishy there. So your toes look quite funny because it doesn't look like a shoe which hides the outline of your toes. You can see all of your toes coming through the top, which, whether you like your toes or not will depend on whether you like these shoes.
You've got weird claw toe thing.
Exactly, I do have weird toes. So you were right when Specialized has done all of its body geometry stuff on the sole. It uses the same cutouts, so you can see here that these bits have all been cut away, and that has been moved over to the inside, which is where your power comes from when you're pedaling. So it's like built it up in the places which need it and cut away in the areas which you don't, and it's replaced those bits with like these vents.
Yeah, it's not a shoe for the winter, really, is it? With this amount of venting.
No, I wouldn't say so. Really, this is a shoe. This is what we'll see the Specialized athletes climbing in the Alps at the Tour, and I'm sure they'll be wearing these because they're so light and they're so well vented that your feet doesn't get very warm at all.
So the one thing I've sort of noticed, obviously, with it being really, really soft like this, is if you ever crash, what's going to happen to your toes?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I haven't really wanted to think about it that much. But obviously, Dyneema is very tough. It is a tough. It's a very tough material, but
They make space rockets out of it, don't they?
well, space rocket parachutes, mate. Come on, don't be silly. Yes, it does leave your toes feeling a little bit unprotected.
Well, I mean, shoes don't give you that protection anyway, because these aren't reinforced in the sense that they don't really move. I don't know if the S-Work 7 shoe is actually giving you any more protection.
No, I suppose it's that sort of just that
But
psychological
it's yet to be
thing,
seen,
isn't
right?
it?
It's yet to be seen. What about knitted shoes? They're obviously...
Well, there's only one way to find out, really, isn't there?
Let's get a chainsaw out and start...
Get them on.
Which toe do you want to lose, right?
But you're right, there is something in that you do feel a little bit, your foot feels quite, it's not unprotected, a little
Just
bit
exposed.
a bit
Yeah.
naked maybe, because there is so little material between the shoe and your foot.
Yeah.
It does take a little bit getting used to, but actually really, really comfortable. Really liked it.
Sweet.
But
Elephant in the room.
elephant in the room, I'm sure everyone's thinking it. These cost £450, which is a staggering sum
Which
of
is
money.
a set of wheels.
set of wheels, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Which is a crazy set. There's no other way around that. That is absolutely mad amounts of cash.
But these are like, you got top of the range, and then you got these on top of it.
Yeah,
isn't it? So
you know.
these are a special.
It is, yeah. It's like
thing,
an
aren't they?
experimental
Yeah.
thing, really. How light can we go?
But this is a very specialist item.
It is.
It's so light,
Yeah.
and it took them. It was started development at the same time as the S-Work 7, and so it's taken over 2 years for this shoe to come to life. And there's obviously a huge amount of intellectual work goes into creating a shoe that is as light as this. But £450 is still
Yeah, I wouldn't spend that amount of money.
no, it's a mad sum of money.
I think there myself is I'd like to try them, but I don't think it's a shoe that I would actually benefit from, and it's definitely not a shoe that I'd want to use long term either. So, but if I was going to do a hill climb or something, and you had your sights set on a national championships, then that could be one of the differences between winning and losing, isn't it?
And I mean, I'm sure these will be popular. I'm sure people will buy them, but it's the pros that are really going to get the most out of these shoes, and they're already, Specialized have told us, they're already really excited about being able to use these in the mountains.
Thanks, Rupert. Yeah, very expensive, but like technical advancements, I think that's great. But as you say, wheels or shoes.
Wheels or shoes.
Your choice.
Take your pick.
Yeah.
Bracey, what have you got for us?
Well, talking about mountains and thinking about stuff that you can travel
Would you
with.
stop squishing my shoes? They cost £450.
225. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go and grab.
He's off.
Where's
my
he
thing.
gone?
He's going. Let's clear some space, shall we? Because I'm worried about when he walks off.
What's he going to come back
Yeah.
in with? Crikey, mate, what's that?
Here he goes.
He's got it again.
You going on holiday or something?
No, I'm not, but other people will.
I'm going on holiday.
No.
You're going on holiday, mate.
I'm going on holiday.
Yeah.
Perfect time of year
Perfect
for-
time of year to look at bike travelling, or travelling with your bike, as I should say.
Can you talk about it without it
Of course
being
you
in front of
can.
you?
Yeah,
Go on then, off you.
yeah.
Get rid of it. Sling your hook.
This is where he goes off and comes back with something else.
So, you've brought a bike bag.
I've brought another bike bag. Yes, so this is Evoc's new Bike Bag Pro. Okay, so this is their top of the line one.
Yep.
And has a few features over their normal one that make it stand out a little bit more.
I'm a fan of the Evoc Bike Bag. Yeah. It's kind of that more bag, but it is a bit more secure than just a soft shell
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's almost what they class as a hybrid bag. So it's like it's soft, but it's got strengthening parts inside it to kind of like keep it that sort of strength. So your most expensive bikes should be protected at all times.
Because it's a scary time of year, right? If you're going on holiday, and a lot of people have gone on holiday or training camps, if you want to call it that, in February, March and April are a good time for guys to go out to Calpe or Mallorca. Your pride and joy is in that bag. And we all know people that handle luggage don't always look after it. There's been all those shock videos of people throwing things out of planes, falling onto floors. And then obviously some people that open up their bike case and go, what are I going to do?
It's very stressful. Very stressful.
So what's this going to do to help that situation?
Well, the first thing that the Pro's got over other ones is it's actually got a frame inside that you bolt your bike to. So it actually doubles as a bike stand.
Oh.
So you can take it out and get the bike sorted and unpacked and packed on that bike stand, which makes your life
That is
so
clever.
much easier.
That is clever, actually.
So
Yeah.
much easier because otherwise you're wrestling around trying to actually sort of like, Velcro in things, while taking out like bearings and all that sort of stuff. So it's a real simple thing, and that can be adjusted then for standard quick release, bolt through, and then obviously other types of bikes as well.
Right.
So you can, it's not just
Is it
about road
heavy?
bikes.
Because it was it was like a metal rack.
Yeah,
really,
it's kind of
wasn't
like
it?
it's a aluminium rack, but it's got plastic end parts that you bolt your bike to. So it's actually not that heavy, and it doesn't actually add a lot more weight over the standard Evoc bike bag, which is good. So it's around about 10 kilos in total, which is a bit more than some sort of soft bags, but you've got that added extra
Protection
level of
comes with
protection.
weight, doesn't it? Really.
I don't have to worry about that because my bike's so small. It's
Well, that's
Weighs nothing at
But
all.
that's the thing, isn't it? With the road bike, sort of average road bike is between sort of 6 to 10 kilos maybe, and the 10 kilo bike, you're well within the weight limit of every single airline, just as it is. Obviously, the lighter your bike, the more extra stuff you can pack in it, and there's plenty of space in that bag if you do want to carry other things as well. Yeah. So there's a couple of pockets inside, so you can actually sort of put some accessories in there and those sorts of things as well. Yeah. Also, the other good thing with it as well is it's got separate compartments for your wheels. So with separate compartments, you're isolating those wheels, so you don't have to worry about like disc brakes or cassettes actually eventually chewing through the frame, as I have seen that.
I've seen that
before.
as well, especially like it gets sort of dotted around and it's gone along the top tube with all the teeth. And then
Could you imagine?
You're looking at your mate's bike
opening it
going,
up and just be like,
no.
It's like, I know exactly what that was, and yeah. So but it's great. So it's got separate pockets either side, so you can put your wheels in, shut it up, and it's completely sort of isolated then. So that's really, really good. A few other things. You've got obviously really nice, big, chunky wheels on that. Super smooth, so carrying around is really, really simple. And Evoc actually then have an extra little wheel that you can plug into the front. The other good thing with the Pro version is you can fold it flat. So when you get to your destination, or if you're just storing it long term, you can fold it up so you can take out the strengthening rods, chuck those in the bag, and then wrap it up, and it takes up much less space. Only issue is, as you sort of saw us building it earlier, the strengthening rods are a bit of a faff to get in and out. So to actually sort of like locate it, you might not necessarily want to do that.
It may have taken over again. All three of us to put one of those in.
Yeah. It's not a one-man job.
Great teamwork.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we all high-fived afterwards.
We've done it, and since you're going to use it next, then it's up to you to choose.
Guys, I need you.
Okay, we'll be there. But no, it's a really good bag, and as I said, £529, so it's right up there. It's not quite on par with like the douchebags one that we had a couple of months ago, but again, if you've got an expensive bike
or an expensive pair of shoes.
Actually, we're quite similar in terms of price here.
We could buy our £500 Evoc bag, put our £500 wheels in, and
this is
tot around in our
great,
£500
right? Because it's not going to take any of your weight limit away. Yeah,
well, that is positive.
Good,
that's a positive. I like that.
Thanks, guys. That's Tech of the Month. But now we need to move on to Bike of the Month. And as you can see, it's a Pinarello behind us. And James, you have the details.
I do indeed. This is the Pinarello Prince. Ooh. Yes. So the Prince used to be the top-end race bike for Pinarello about 20 years ago and had loads of success. But then along came the Dogma. And as we know, the Dogma under Team Sky had a massive amount of success, and the Prince got forgotten.
Poor
old
sad.
Well, Pinarello didn't really push anything other than the Dogma for a long time, which is it's a super bike. It's great. Very expensive, obviously.
So the Prince kind of went away, and then it started to come back in about 2015. So, but then this new version, it's new for last year, but this is kind of like the new version of it, and it's back. And it's back in 3 different types.
Oh.
Yeah. That's what we love, is we love choice. And so Pinarello has given us choice with the Prince. So there's 3 versions. There's the FX, there's the Prince, and there's the disc brake version. And the Prince is now the bike for the people. So forget the name. This is a bike for everybody.
It's called the Pinarello People, is it?
No, it's not. It's not We the People.
But start singing a bit of Purple Rain, it'd be all right.
We could. So yeah, this is the Prince. So the FX is the race version. So a bit more aggressive, a bit more racy.
Does the geometry change?
Yes, just a little bit. So angles get a little bit sort of more aggressive. This is the standard Prince, which is their all-round bike for the people. And then the disc brake is the same version as this, so same geometry, but with disc brakes.
So Pinarello, they're kind of pushing the mid-range now. We sort of call it mid-range. So this is around £3,000?
£3,300 for this particular one with Ultegra. It's the new Ultegra. So it's a good level of kit on here. But
they've been kind of missing out, haven't they? They've had the top end, and many people have bought the bike, but they've just not been around anywhere else. They've had models, but just no one's bought them.
No. It's because they've always had like a few little quirks, a few little Pinarello quirks that I think has like sort of put a lot of people off. But now what they're starting to do is they're starting to do that proper trickle down. So the Pinarello Prince takes a lot of the features of the Dogma.
I can see a few.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's all about those aerodynamics. That's the critical thing with this bike, even on this, which is the more sort of relaxed version. So they've got that amazing fork flap.
Everybody's favourite fork flap.
We love a fork flap.
What do you call it? What else do you call that?
Somebody will actually know what it's called.
It is actually it's actually called a fork flap.
It's called a fork flap.
That is called the fork flap.
Fork flap.
No, it is.
Yeah.
It's a bit bigger on the F10, I think.
Yes, it
and
is.
And then bigger, even more on the Bolida, the TT bike, which is the proper flaps.
Fork wings.
Pretty much.
Yeah. But it's designed to sort of reduce the airflow across the quick release lever, so to give it a bit more sort of sort of smooth that air over there.
It's got the crazy fork as well.
It does have that Onda fork,
but it's got the same seat stays shaped design as the Dogma as well. Hasn't
effectively,
it? They flare out again.
If you squint, you're looking at a Dogma.
Yeah, I mean, I went away with Castelli, as you guys know, before Christmas. We were riding Pinarellos just like this, and I initially thought, oh wow, got F10s.
Got a dog bag. Oh, got a dog bag.
And then it wasn't until I went down the road a couple of miles and I actually looked at the name. I was like, oh, it's not an F10, but it's a beautiful bike, And as we were talking earlier, if you're a fan of Pinarello and you're a fan of Team Sky, but you've never been able to afford those bikes, which hardly anyone can because they're £10,000 bikes, there is now an option for you, and you're not exactly losing everything in terms of the Pinarello name and the sort of performance side that goes with it, and you're getting a bike that actually looks quite decent.
Yeah, it takes the technology from the Dogma, just got that lower level grade carbon. Nice looking bike. I'm kind of like I'm liking the red and black again.
Yeah.
It was everywhere, and then I kind of got bored of it. Now it's kind of coming back with a few little bits, and it does
the
look
Dogma
nice.
rocked it when the F10 was launched, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, that looks really good.
Oh, that looks tasty. Yeah. That's what we thought. And you get full Ultegra mechanical.
Full Ultegra mechanical.
Wheels? What are they?
Yeah, the Racing 5s, so it's a bit disappointing in terms of wheels. A bike like this and a frame like that should really have something a bit better than a Racing 5.
Like Racing Zeros or something.
Yeah, exactly, if you're going to go for that sort of section. But, it's effectively an F10 Lite. So for that price, you can kind of think, well, you probably go for a set of those wheels and...
and a set of these shoes.
Set of those shoes.
And then when you go away, you go out on the Evoc bag.
We've got
We've served you everything you need.
Thanks, guys. That is Bike of the Month and Tech of the Month. If you've liked this video, please do give us a thumbs up or subscribe to the channel. And if you've got any comments to give us about products or anything you'd like to investigate further, please do comment in the comment section below. But until then, we'll see you next time. Watch it, 450 pence.
Snapped it.
Bike of the month. Thanks, guys. That is... Oh, sorry, James, not making a stupid face.
Sorry.